I think this next game, so we talk about comparing this game to Thanksgiving Day dishes. I always think of Mike Vrabel as a meat and potatoes guy. So I think the Patriots at the Titans, or the Patriots and the Titans, is my mashed potatoes. I think that that's the perfect fit for this game. Definitely when you think about the type of offense that the Titans want to run and haven't been able to run since Derrick Henry's been out of the lineup, that smash mouth style doesn't work when you're only having your best runner top out at 40 rushing yards. In fact, actually their best runner the last few weeks since Derrick Henry has been out has not exceeded 40 rushing yards. That just goes counter to what the Titans offense is. You can't run that LaFleur, West Coast, Shanahan scheme if you can't run the football effectively. And that puts a lot of more onus on Ryan Tannehill. And Ryan Tannehill, if he had his full complement of pieces out there like A.J. Brown and Julio Jones, maybe he could get by it. Maybe at least the last couple years version of Ryan Tannehill we've seen. But now Julio Jones, he's on IR. A.J. Brown, he's dealing with both a wrist and a chest injury coming into this game. So if you had to put the odds on, is A.J. Brown going to play? I'm going to say no, which then leaves their wide receiving core with this mess. Chester Rogers, who I believe also got hurt, Nick Westbrook-Ikini, Marcus Johnson, who I want to say also got hurt. And they have, they've been calling up guys from the practice squad. Des Fitzpatrick was responsible for 2 of Ryan and Tannehill's 4 interceptions that he had against the Texans, because Ryan Tannehill was literally yelling him on the field, Des, you got this, you got the play call. And Des didn't have the play call because clearly resulted in a bad play against the Texans. So Ryan Tannehill throwing to a bunch of scrubs. Didn't we see this game plan happen in Miami? I think this is why you look at the Patriots and what they're doing. That defense is fucking amazing. You talk about a Bill Belichick special. These guys have been on top of it. Bill has been beating up on Ryan Tannehill for years. I don't think he's going to stop now. The one thing I will add, I think it's funny. I don't have the exact record in front of me, but I think we can all reflect and realize that Bill Belichick oddly doesn't do well against like his assistant coaches or like former players. I know Brian Flores has gotten him a couple times. I know Matt Patricia once beat him in a game. I think the only one that's really sucked against him was Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien couldn't get over the Patriots hump, but Vrabel has beat him in a couple key moments. Can Vrabel rally the troops? Can he get that crowd energy going to beat the Patriots in this game? I would wager not, just because their offense is so depleted. Hell, their best pass rusher, you talk about the recent weeks, their pass rush has really started to improve. Bud Dupree just went on the IR in this last game. They are really battling through it right now in Tennessee. So it's hard for me to see them pulling an upset going on the road into New England, 6.5-point favorites. I'm going with the Patriots.
Yeah, same here. Patriots all the way through. This game could be a bludgeoning as well. I think the Patriots, you can, it's always hard to count on them to bludgeon people because you never know which version of their offense they're going to deploy, whether it's the one that scores 53 against the Jets or if it just gives up and only scores 25 against the Falcons when they could have scored 45. So again, scoreboard watch on that one. Patriots are going to cover the spread easily in this one. Y'all can see this on the YouTube, but you can't see this on the podcast, that I am doing my little Joker dance on this one. Cause I told you this was not the real Titans team. The Titans team that beat the Rams, the Titans team that went the week after and beat the Saints. But if Alvin Kamara had played, the Saints would have won. And I think the Saints are actually still like pretty good. Like, they're kind of in the same ballpark as the Vikings and 49ers who we talked about earlier. Like I told you, this is the Titans team. This is the Titans team that's going to struggle to score points. The reason they lose, again, I didn't think they'd lose to the Texans, but I also didn't bet them at -10 against the Texans because I was like, this could be closer than we think, because the Titans are really going to struggle to score points without Derrick Henry and without Julio Jones for the next few weeks. And this is really, really going to be a problem for them over this stretch of games that seems pretty easy, but now the Titans are not actually a good team. Like the Titans are going to probably win that division anyways. We talked about that in the last segment with the Colts, but the Titans are really like scrambling right now, and it's going to be hard for them, similarly to the Steelers. It's going to be hard for them to score points consistently here over the next few weeks. And so I think any game the Titans shouldn't be huge favorites in at this point. It's really hard times for them. They are headed towards the fate of all AFC South teams, which is they will be the 4 seed play a playoff game on ESPN that they will lose on Wild Card Weekend, because the AFC South has been doing that for 7 straight years. And that is where the Titans are headed, is for the wild card game that they will lose to probably like the Chargers or something. I don't know. Maybe the Bengals.
You look back at those Colts games. I bet the Colts really just wish that they could have one of those back. I bet Carson Wentz, if he could have one play back in this season, it would be the left-handed interception that went for a pick 6 there, because that would be so pivotal now that the Titans essentially have an extra game advantage because of the wins there, the tiebreakers there, as the Colts are starting to get hot and the Titans are starting to slide. I like Vrabel. He's been able to win with tough conditions there in Tennessee, but it's just so hard. I mean, how do you like bring guys up from the practice squad and expect them to perform with a quarterback that, again, is in that 10 to 20 range? If Ryan Tannehill had his full complement of pieces, great, but it just doesn't look like it's lining up for the Titans to make a good late season run at this point. Like you said, they still might make the playoffs because of the division around them, but even still, if you could lose to the Texans, it's kind of like with Texas. If you could lose to Kansas, you could lose to anyone.
Yeah,
just so
it says more about you as a whole. It says more about you as a team at that point, which, again, the Titans, again, this might be hard for people to look at because most people kind of brainwashed people into thinking the Titans were an AFC championship favorite for the past couple of weeks, but the Titans weren't that good of a team even before losing Derrick Henry and Julio Jones. Like, on paper, they weren't actually that strong of a team coming into this year. They were good enough to win the AFC South, but that's because the AFC South is terrible.
Here's something I'll throw out to you. Did the Falcons get a steal in that Julio Jones trade?
Not as big a steal as the Jets got for Sam Darnold, but they got a pretty good steal. Imagine if they'd been able to get a first-round pick for Julio Jones out of that. So,
yeah, I just wonder if Julio is ever going to be healthy for the remainder of his career at this point. It just seems like he's always going to have a nagging hamstring going on, which once you start hearing those soft tissue injuries, I think that those are one of the tougher things for players to recover from. Hell, I would rather tear my ACL than have a nagging hamstring almost. I think,
torn ACLs aren't fun with the rehab, but nagging hamstring will play you for a while.
Usually we see guys like how Nick Bosa has 10 sacks coming off of ACL. You have those hamstring injuries that start to accumulate. They just seem like they never go away, or the nagging groin or the quad injuries. Those lower body pulls, they're gross. They can really take a player's career away from them. I think back to Miles Austin when he had a career with the Cowboys. Once he started getting those hamstring pulls, it was pretty much over. And he was a stud at one point.